Wonderful. Here we are. We're going to talk about buying homes with Kylie. Thank you so much for jumping on for a minute to talk.
Yes,
Yeah. So when did we buy the house again? It was like not quite a year.
April.
April. Yeah.
No, April. Yeah,
Yeah.
April
So
2025.
that's amazing. So what I like to do is just go through the process of. I know we started talking a few months before that about possibly looking to purchase a home,
Yep.
but prior to that, I know you start thinking about buying a home often years in advance. So I'd love just to hear sort of what that process was like for you as you were starting to think about, for the both of you, thinking about buying a home.
Sure. My husband and I are actually from the Vancouver, Portland area, and we started the process over there. And things just kept, the door just kind of kept closing on stuff. And it was like we just weren't ready. And yeah, just doors just kept closing. And then we decided to move back where I'm from, here, Spokane. And we wanted to buy a house right away. And my husband ended up losing his job right when we moved here. And so all the money that we were saving for a home was now going to be held in case, he couldn't find a job. But then he
Right.
found a job. And when we were talking about the process of buying the house, we wanted to make sure that this was going to be somewhere we wanted to stay long term, for sure.
Right.
We both don't like moving. Um, and so we definitely
So
wanted to make
when
sure that
you
Spokane was our home.
got it. So when you in your mind you were thinking when you make the move, you really didn't want to do it again.
Right, for at least 10 years. This is not, I would not say this is our forever home, even though I love this house beyond. Um, but I mean, it could be, we don't know. But definitely like a 10-year plus plan for us to buy a home for sure.
That's
Um, and then Jeremy and I financially have just been saving, had been saving for the last 2 years. And you hear everyone on both sides, it's not a good time. It's a good time. It's not a good time. It's a good time. And we both in our hearts felt like it was a good time, even though it was off season. I think I contacted you in April, or no, I contacted you in February.
right.
And we kind of knew it was an off time, but we both felt like this is going to happen this time for sure. Yeah, we just knew.
That's amazing. And I mean, we contact over Instagram, right?
Yep. Yeah, I have had actually been following you, but I tell everyone this story. Anyone who is looking for a home, and I give them your info, and they ask how I know you, and I actually saw you through Instagram. It was a random. I was following, stuff from Spokane. I work at Mike's Old Fashioned Donuts in the Valley, and of course, I'm connected with small businesses. And your stuff popped up, and I'm like, gosh, this guy is so funny. You reminded me of the guys I grew up with here. And I would tell Jeremy, I'm like, gosh, this guy is so funny selling homes. I said, if we get ready to buy a home, I'm going to use him as my realtor. I do not know him, but I loved your content. And so I was like, heck yeah.
We're
So I think, yeah, I
like soul
contacted
friends,
you.
basically, right? Like
What was that?
we're like soul friends. We were just kind of like meant to
Oh,
be.
I knew it. Yeah. Because I was like, gosh, that your content is so funny. And like, and of course, being from Spokane, so you would talk about, stuff from Spokane. I'm like, this guy is just so funny. So yeah, when Jeremy and I started talking serious, because our lease was up, we were renting an apartment, and our lease was coming up, and I was like, I'm going to contact Jake and kind of get the ball rolling. So yeah, we
I love it.
went from there.
Cool. So you got to a point where you felt like you were financially secure enough, and you're like, let's go for it again because it's been a few years.
Yeah, we didn't know. We didn't know, right? We didn't know how much we should save. We didn't know where we wanted to be. I grew up in the valley, but I was open to kind of anywhere in Spokane that had the home that it had in my mind for the past, 10, 20 years in my mind of what I wanted, but also what we could afford.
Yeah.
And um, Jeremy ended up being pretty blessed and keeping his job for a while and then having a second job, and we just saved. And we worked really hard to also, in the last few years, building up our credit score as well. And so we knew talking to you and talking to Adam was like, okay, I think we can do this. I think we're ready for sure.
Yeah. What would you say? Would you have any piece of advice for people that are thinking about buying a home? Uh, they say they're in a similar position to you as they're, kind of thinking about looking, not sure if they want to pull the trigger on getting started. What would you say to them?
I would tell them and make sure, obviously, saving. And you hear a lot of times people are like, "Oh, well, my credit score is great. Why can't I buy a home? I can afford rent, but I can't buy a home." And I understand that, excuse me. But reality is, and what we kind of saw when we were in the process of buying the home, credit score is great. Having a great credit score, awesome. Having those finances, to even for a down payment or whatever the case may be, awesome. But for us, when we were getting ready, because it was the unknown, it was like save, save. So if I were to tell anyone who's buying a home and who's ready to buy a home, sit down with your partner, have a budget, and do a budget to even like little things. Having that budget and going over and sticking with that budget to prepare yourself for buying a home. I was just talking to you the other day and you're like, hey, what do you know been up to? And I'm like, oh, we just had our furnace serviced. And so when you're renting, you don't have to worry about that stuff.
Right.
And so for us, the big thing was, do we have enough money to buy a home? And then are we financially going to be okay to then, when we are in the home, to then maintain the house?
Yep. No, that's great. Then when you're looking, I was looking over the contract that we initially had, and it looks like we got the closing costs covered, which is amazing. And not every
Hmm.
market is that possible, but luckily
Right.
right now this market we're able to ask the sellers to pay for the closing costs, and I think that we had um, that was I can't remember what happened during the inspection period, but that's kind of where the
Yeah.
contract
I
started.
think
What was
that was actually the most trying time for me and Jeremy in our marriage, in our communication.
yeah
I would be very honest with even like one of my girlfriends who just bought a home with you guys. I was just like, just communicate, just be gracious with each other because it was just like the unknown and the back and forth and the back and forth. And oh my gosh, are we making a mistake? Oh my gosh, are we
Let me tell you
financially
something.
okay?
Can I tell you something
Yeah.
personal?
Oh yeah,
Even as a realtor, both my wife and I, we have our license, and even when we buy a house, it's incredibly trying for the
it was.
relationship.
It was. Yeah. I would
Yeah,
say the time between putting our first offer in and then negotiating with the seller, going over just stuff. And it's like, okay, what do we ask for? Okay, what do we not ask for? And are we sure this is it? Are we sure this is the location? So when we found this home that we live in now, which I tell people this and people probably think I'm being funny, but every day, like when I open my curtains, I am so thankful for this house because we did wait for this home because we have just been waiting for the right home, and it really is amazing. But yeah, we definitely have talked to each other and been like, gosh, that was so trying. That was really hard on our relationship, just like our personal relationships, like for real, going through that process of, you don't know everything. And so the unknown of it all. And then once we signed, we got our keys, it was like, okay.
yeah, yeah.
We
So
made it. We made it.
maybe the takeaway there then is for those of us who are married or have relationships is to really make sure that you're working on, just like you were saying, you had to open up the door for communication to,
Yes.
hard stuff to talk about, and then um, yeah, just make sure that you're working on that over time,
Well,
preparing.
yeah, especially if you're negotiating, every home is completely different. Even in a newer home, our home is 1957, and
Hmm.
so it comes with 1957, things that have maybe been original or things that done in the 80s and 90s. And so being on the same page with your spouse, your partner, whenever whoever you're buying your home with, to make sure your priorities are also kind of on the same page. Where Jeremy and I was like, do we worry about the electric work, or do we worry about the plumbing? Do we worry about the plumbing, or do we worry about the roof? I'm just giving examples.
Yep.
And I think I talked to you about this earlier this week or this last weekend, where it's like we wanted to make sure we were on the same page as what those priorities are throughout the
Yeah.
whole process. It was definitely, yeah, it made us stronger. And we talk about it, and I know it sounds funny, but it definitely made our marriage stronger for sure.
I think those big transitionary moments, and there's only really a few in life where a big thing is changing in how your day-to-day life goes. And buying a house, I mean, even though it's the same thing for moving into a rental place, you're not committing to it in the same way that you're purchasing a
Yeah,
home. You're saying this is the
yeah,
next 10 years of our life.
yeah, yeah.
We have to make sure that we feel good about this decision. So
Just little
uh,
thing, and we are in our 40s, and so um, you're thinking of just like all those little things of what we have, what we don't have. I had a girlfriend that was looking at a house and she loved it, and then realized, oh shoot, there's no dishwasher. Where on earth can we put a dishwasher? I don't know how to do it. Like, I am blessed to have family members who have been in construction and who can come and help, do different things. And I am lucky that way. But some people don't have no idea where, to go from there. Even like with the furnace being,
that particular house, I think
serviced.
that the dishwasher would have been hard to put in, even if you had a good contractor.
Yeah. Oh no, that's the things that you think about, or buying blinds for your home, or just like little things, filters. When we were doing our furnace, we had the guy working on our furnace, and Jeremy was like, "Well, let me watch you so I know kind of what to do." So it's a learning process of it all. So yeah, I think every day is you're like, "Oh, okay, let's work on this," and "Oh, let's do this." But yeah, for sure, I would say putting like the first initial with buying the house, our first offer until we got the keys was probably the hardest.
Yeah.
Or the underwriting, all of that. That was probably the hardest part of the process.
Yeah. I'm glad that we had a lender like we did that had a
Oh
lot
my
of that.
gosh, wonderful. And the
Yeah.
communication, like everyone's, the process with you and it was wonderful. It made it so great. And would I do it tomorrow? No, but in 10 years, yeah.
There's my sound bite for the day. I'm going to use that in my.
Exactly.
No, that's great. So now that we have the house and
Yeah.
we're here for a few months, what do you think is, as far as mindset goes, what do you find to be either something that would just be helpful for somebody that hasn't bought a house to think through, or what do you think
Yes.
through every day to just say, this is why I did this?
Yes. So I'm going to do kind of two sides of things where this is your home. You call it yours. If you look around, I have a beautiful decorated painting. Um, do whatever you want with your home. I have, my flowers. I have a beautiful flower garden in the back that I can put all my flowers in. I have a garden, so I've got garden boxes that I can call my own. Waking up and just being like, this is ours, is something you can't do when you're renting. Even though you can make it, I mean, the places that Jeremy and I lived in, I've always called home because it is home. And I have decorated and made it cozy, but nothing has felt like this.
That's amazing.
Calling it, having it ours, calling it ours. There's things that I think about. So, and I think I was telling you, we have a guy coming out and doing trees. We don't have front trees in our front yard or on the sides, but our neighbors do.
Hmm.
And so you have to think, okay, cutting trees down, can you afford paying for a tree service? Because those trees are going to, those branches are touching your roof. So it's like two sides of things where it's like, gosh, I love this home. I love it. And it's amazing. And it's mine. But then you're like, okay, well, shoot, the landlord isn't going to come out and cut the tree branches for me. I'm not paying for this service.
Right. Yeah. Fair enough.
Let's.
it's a good balance to remember that. Yeah,
It
I'm
is.
my
And that's what I was saying. Like, yeah, sure, it can stress some people out, but it's like, okay. And I think I talked to you about this too, where when Jeremy and I got into the home, we didn't want to make big, crazy purchases and we didn't want to do big, crazy changes. We wanted to live in the house each season. Now, everyone can do it different. You can move into a home, flip it completely, and be okay with it. We wanted to live in it through each season to see what we needed and what we don't need. And so we sat down, we wrote a list of importance of, do we need new windows? Okay, where is that on the list? Will we need a new furnace when the water heater breaks? So we definitely have communicated so much more in our marriage than with this buying a house, because we are trying to prioritize, financially, what is the most important thing to get through the list of stuff.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, it's a balance between, like, of course, this is mine. Here's the
Yes, I
responsibility,
love, yep.
and then also
Hmm.
the financial reward. And the houses tend to grow about 4% every year on average. Right now we're kind of at a flat year. Next year might be the same. It's always hard to tell, but take the average of the last 30, 40 years is about 4%, 5% growth every year. So every time you're doing a small job in your house, the furnace or
Yes.
whatever, it is kind of like a
Yes.
deposit into your house that
Yeah,
sort of acts
yeah.
like a bank
It's
for
like
you.
we don't have that bathroom in the basement, so it's like, okay, that's the first thing that we're gonna be doing. We are putting a half bath downstairs in that basement.
Yeah.
Um, Last night's Mariner game, I did not want to move. I did not want to go anywhere. I did not want to go to the bathroom, and so that bathroom would have been great downstairs. So I wouldn't miss the Mariners game.
Yeah.
So it's just like different priorities. Jeremy probably would rather have all the windows changed, and I would rather have an extra bathroom downstairs. So that's with that communication of writing a list down of what's the most important, what can we live without for the first year, and that's what we really committed to ourselves of, let's be in it for a year, and then let's kind of see what changes and what things we need to do to the house.
I love it. Well, any last piece of wisdom or advice that you'd have for people that are thinking about buying?
Save,
Yeah. Yeah. Be
save,
ready. I love it.
communicate and get on the budget and save and just communicate that, and don't be, make sure your finances are all in order, with that communication. That's it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. And for your listeners, if you have any questions, of course, reach out. I'll have my phone number in the link in bio, and we'll go from there. Hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll talk soon. Thanks so much, Kylie.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Cool. That is it.